Kurt, what are you smoking on today?
Um, you know, gosh, I'm not used to you Canadian guys and your hard questions. I don't know the name of the cultivar. It's underground. I shop both underground and licensed dispensaries here, and
Attaboy.
I know it's good stuff. It's organic. Lots of orange pistils, lots of orange
Nice.
hairs in it. It's real beautiful. But actually getting some new stuff today. So I'll see what that looks like. Yeah,
Totally.
Nice. New bag
You-
day, always fun.
it is always fun. Yeah.
One of my favorite ways to discuss or describe my cannabis to others, especially when I don't know what it is the color of the greens compared to the color of the pistils. Like I really like to dig into that whole scale of green, like all the way from like olive drab or khaki, all the way up to like those really like those fluorescent greens. So
So you must become like a real critic of drying and curing procedures.
I think you kind of get to that point, and definitely I know that those colors have a lot to do with that, and we've seen in this legal market, we've seen that whole spectrum, and I remember like back in the day when we were smoking Hart, when we were smoking a lot of Tilray product, and there was one color that came from Tilray, and it was khaki.
All right.
And things never changed.
Yeah.
And you got some new Tilray. That's that 13.8 stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, 30.8% THC.
30, not
Oh, I think I
13.
saw you post that. Yeah, I'm like, damn, you guys got it going on.
It's some
So
rocket fuel, man. It's I like it.
Is it khaki colored?
No, it's not khaki color. Let me grab it. This is the other shit that I got. But it's not khaki color, but I don't know if it's actually grown by Tilray because
Oh wow,
it's
bulky.
it's really nice. not to slag Tilray in any way, but I didn't know they were capable of growing something like this. So, which makes me think that maybe they purchased it from another grower, but
That's possible, I guess. Yeah. There's definitely a lot of that happens in our market for sure.
Yeah, and I've never seen pineapple super bud. Like, have you ever heard of that, Kurt? Ever heard of that cultivar?
No.
Yeah, me neither. And that's why I was like, I'd never heard of it from Tilray. Tilray's never offered it before, so that's what made me quite suspicious on it. But hey, it does the trick, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, 30%. I remember in like 2006, there were, and I'd only been writing for like mags like High Times and stuff for a couple of years. And this rumor came out from Humboldt County in Northern California that there was a strain called Trainwreck that was, oh my God, some crazy hippie tested it and it was 23%, and everybody got
Right.
real excited. And
Right.
So yeah, to think that, there's just, random shelf stuff that's hitting 28, 30% is pretty amazing.
Right. I love that we've gone from this point of like the crazy hippies being those crazy people that no one listened to the crazy hippies now being like advisors.
We need
Like
them.
you trust that crazy hippie.
Well, as long as I got some spreadsheets and some money behind
Right.
it somehow, right? I like it when it takes a whole team, right? You got the suits and they might be stiff and they might not smoke with you and all that, but they bring their thing to the party. They, maybe it's money, maybe it's understanding of regulatory oversight, but yeah, it is really interesting. In the legal world, it takes more than just understanding how to cultivate or extract. You got to have people who understand spreadsheets and compliance and training and HR and all this. What do you got to do that for stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Amy,
definitely.
Amy,
ahead,
we
bud.
all saw you smoke off camera. You don't have to leave. I just thought I'd throw that in there.
I wasn't trying to be discreet. I really don't care. It's just that it was over on the other table and yeah.
I just saw you leave, and then this puff of smoke came up.
She's actually
I
magic.
don't smoke it was a magic trick. That's right.
Prestidigitation.
Yes. Basil, what are you smoking? What do we got for you, man?
I'm digging into today it's going to be the tsunami.
Ooh.
Yeah, I got that
Very
Northern
nice.
Lights going on. I'm really digging it too. And this particular batch that I have, this particular lot is right around the 17% mark for THC.
Nice.
But I've been seeing that the tsunami that's coming out, the fresher batches are hitting up into that 22%. So I'm really excited to try that because I'm really enjoying the effect of this one right now.
I will say just a little plug. There's Super Skunk coming to Alberta, and it's 25% THC, and it's 4.31% total terps.
Wow.
That's top leaf
Nice.
strain. Yeah,
Yeah.
man, I'm super stoked about that one. Like,
Tons of people think that it's, that when these strains, that these cultivars that we really like, that regardless of the THC percentage, it's all these terps in there intermingling and the entourage effect. And, I'm tempted to believe, back to the crazy hippies, those people who say, oh, let your nose lead the way. If it smells enticing, it's good for you and it's good medicine. And if it doesn't turn on your olfactory sense, then maybe, you're not hardwired to enjoy it or get the max benefit from it. That's kind of a not necessarily scientific theory, but I think there may be some science behind it.
no way, for sure. The nose knows. I always
Yeah.
say, like, if you open that jar and you go in and you want to take a second sniff, like you sniff it and you like want to go back for more, you're definitely digging on it. And if you go like, oh, kind of one of those, like jerk back,
Yeah.
like I don't like the way that smells, it's probably not, your jam. And there's definitely, as you say, like, who knows what the science behind it, but like there's something to that. The nose, your body knows what it wants, right? Like it's pretty cool.
A lot of us like being in a pine forest, and we learned that pinene is the most common terpene in the universe. And you're just bathing in it, literally. You're swimming around in it when you're in a pine forest, and a lot of people claim to have borderline, psychoactive efficacy from that experience. So, there's definitely something to it, and research studies certainly have shown a great deal of efficacy from all of the terpenes.
Absolutely.
Right. I've been digging in hard to your strain print series there lately, Kurt. All this time at home has gotten me getting back into reading.
Well, I think there's like 39 articles there. We locked it up with 39. Yeah, I wanted 50, but maybe I'm just too much into even numbers. I don't know.
42 would do.
Yeah, that would do too. Well, then Hart would have all the photos for it. Right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, man, I truly appreciate all that effort and all that work that you put into that, because that's like what an unbelievable resource for people. I mean, just in the sense of being able to get all of that into one place for people, because we're so accustomed to, prior to Kurt Robbins, searching the entire internet for for all of the information that we need.
Yeah, and I almost have to apologize to readers for that, because there was no coherence or strategy to it, right? It was just somebody would hire me to write something, and they might want 2 articles or they might want 200. It just depended. And if it was like a monthly, let's just develop 4, 5, 6 articles this month, and they say, okay, that was cool, let's do it some more, and then we do it sometimes it's even open-ended, and we don't know how long it's going to last. So, in other words, there's just not a lot of strategy around it. I'm quite honestly trying to change that this year and the next couple of years, with centralizing new content based on the latest research, and quite frankly, doing it under my own brand so people know where to go for it. It's not the end of the world, but right now you can go to 7 different sources for, over the last few years and of content that I've created. And I think the content's a lot more educational, and it's a lot more relevant and helpful to industry pros and patients alike, if there's strategy behind it, right? Like, okay, you got 200 articles, but if it was 5 here and 10 here, and it was all just kind of hodgepodge, then the value of those 200 is much, much less. Whereas if they were designed, scripted from the ground up to build upon each other,
right.
Part of it's a foundation series, and then part of it gets into, there needs to be instructional design, in other words, behind it. So I'm kind of excited. That's what I'm trying to do this year. Things are changing rapidly, right? And we're all doing the pivot ninja thing. Yeah. But, hopefully some of the plans will come to fruition.
Yeah,
that's
sounds
great
like
to
a
hear.
curriculum. No, that's very cool.
Technically it is a curriculum. And most of it I'm going to license, quite honestly,
Good.
to other training organizations and to enterprise organizations like their HR departments and such. But the articles will still be there. In fact, there'll be more articles than ever if people get worried about if I'm going to stop doing that. No, because those are basically going to be teasers for the in-depth courses. And seminars will be more shallow, like say 3 to 4 hours, and courses will be 6 to 12 hours. And then courses and seminars are not so much. Courses stack up into a curriculum. And, it can be certificate-bearing curriculum. There's a lot of things you can do with it, right? It can integrate testing. It can be done on a distance version, which is what everybody wants today and needs in a pandemic, right? Because, we're just not doing a whole lot of instructor-led training in live classrooms right now.
Right.
Yeah, and that's amazing. There's certainly a shortage of good, reliable, credible cannabis education out there. So yeah, bravo to you.
Yeah.
Well, thanks.
Congrats.
I'm
Keep it up.
I have to thank all the scientists and researchers and, geneticists and doctors, because I'm citing their work, whether it's a hardcore peer-reviewed, double-blind research study, and, human trial, clinical trials, things like that. They're multi-million-dollar studies, or whether it's just anecdotal information from a practicing clinician, like, some of the regulars I talk to are Mara Gordon in California, Peter Grinspoon and Ben Kaplan, 2 separate practicing clinicians in the Boston area. These people tell me gold information because, there's a certain ethical obligation to not mislead the reader, which as time goes on, starting this year, I'm going to be talking less about readers and more about students.
Excellent.
Very, very cool. 420 alert. Oh yes, it is 420 by you, Kurt. We should
lucky dog.
Oh, it is exactly 420. If you can see it, yeah.
You can see it.
I can't. I'm gonna break my elbow. Yeah, if I get it up to the camera there. I'll get better at this. I promise.
There you
But
go.
in celebration, I think it's the first time I've ever done it on camera, because being from Ohio, where it's still illegal unless you're in a medical program. And they probably got some obscure regulation saying you can't do it on camera and show the rest of the world. Why not? Another reason.
In your own home.
Yeah, never mind. You're paying the taxes on that thing.
Well, this one's for Nevada.
Yeah. Do you?
And Nevada loves you. Carrot Top loves you. What the hell, guys?
Good old Carrot Top. Wasn't that amazing?
I saw the picture, and at first I was like, they're just pulling our leg, and I was like, no, I think that's actually Carrot Top.
The best part was that, and I don't know the motivation behind it, but the fact that he actually got out and hung out for a little while, and
it's great, yeah,
and kind of did a little shtick for us, kind of thing. And I mean, when I sat down and thought about it afterwards, I was like, you always hear stories about in the States, people are always really concerned about getting sued or something like that. So maybe that was motivation behind it. I don't know what it was, but it was a pretty cool evening to just hang out with
his brother's probably an attorney and gave him the scoop in Thanksgiving. Here's what you can and can't do,
He did come really close to hitting us.
That
was a near miss for sure.
Oh my God. Now, was he also shopping at said dispensary?
No, actually it was just out in front of the hotel. There was a fancy little VIP entrance exit that he was coming out of, that we just happened to be cruising by, and being the clueless Canadians, we were just giving her, and I'm pretty sure Amy was right out front, almost got the brunt of it.
I think you guys are lucky, actually, because he probably just ate a bag of mushrooms and half a bottle of vodka. So,
well, now I like him even more.
You probably came really close to death. I'm just saying. Yeah.
Is Carrot Top a VIP? That begs the question.
He's got a residency, so if that's your meter of VIP in Vegas.
All right.
Interestingly, it wasn't at the hotel that he has a residency at.
He was taking a meeting.
And we don't ask questions about these things, because
that's right.
Like Carrot Top. Keep going, Carrot Top.
Keep doing what you're doing. Yeah, it was cool. He the fact that like he always does his little thing where he shows you the stuff he's made, right? And he showed us his lights, that his Christmas lights that he had intricately put in and around the Mercedes symbol in his G-Wagon. And the way that he was like describing it and like showing us all the little details and
As
talking
if
about how
a
long it took.
bi-turbo 12-cylinder German $260,000 vehicle isn't blinged out enough. You can hear those things coming from 2 blocks away. He's got a LED the thing. Okay, all right. It's very Vegas of him. Yeah, it's a Vegas thing. Everything's got to have lights on it.
I love it. Neon.
Speaking of a Vegas thing, oh, go ahead, Hart.
No, you go ahead, dude. I'll get.
I was just gonna say, speaking of a Vegas thing, definitely one of my highlights while in Vegas, obviously, was hanging out with my good friend Kurt, and I that day we were hanging out, I got to experience some CBG rich hemp. Had a nice little amount of CBD in it, if I remember correctly, and next
4%. Yeah.
4%, and it was right around 12 or 13 in the CBG
It was
department.
13.5% CBG. It was from a farm in Medford, Oregon, and it was their 2019 crop, so fairly, the latest. And
right,
13.5% CBG, 4% CBD, and a wonderfully low 0.07% THC. So any dangers through the chain, of it running hot, especially with the new FDA regs that are just so bloody strict, just a dream of a cultivar in that respect. But what'd you think about smoking it?
So, I mean, when I'm describing this situation to people, I find that I tend to, first of all, it was a very exciting day for me. I was hanging out with Kurt Robbins. So, I mean, the mind space that you're in when you go into a new cultivar, I find it always has a lot of bearing on those effects. And as we got outside, started consuming, I tell people that, this was my only experience with a cultivar like this. The effects that I was receiving were, I describe them as a lot of, all of the best parts of a THC high without that high part. Which
sometimes manifests as paranoia or panic attacks. I mean, there is kind of a dark side to that people in the industry don't like to talk about. But
that high portion. Yeah, absolutely.
There's a scary part. Most of us have been there if we've smoked enough, right?
Oh yeah,
absolutely. And I think that to a lot of people who are maybe novices when it comes to cannabis, or people who who don't have a lot of experience to draw from at all. When they think high, they think that inebriation part. So, when I'm trying to explain to them, I'm like, okay, well, when you do consume cannabis, that little piece of it that you would call inebriation, take that away. And then all of the, the stress relief, the mental clarity, all of the great parts of about THC, minus that psychoactivity. That's what I felt from that CBG CBD combo. Now, you've had a plenty more experience with it than I have. I'd love to hear like what you talk about when you're describing your experience with CBG rich products to people.
Well, from talking to both you about your experience and to others, many of which were at MJ BizCon in December there in Vegas, the most common word that I could boil it down to was clarity. So, and sometimes people would call it energy, or alertness. But they were like, I feel sharp. I feel like I had the coffee without the jitters.
Right.
They would all emphasize that they did not feel messed up or intoxicated or, like unable to operate heavy machinery or to go through TSA and take a flight or exchange currency or, the things we're scared to do sometimes,
right.
To get fun out. But yeah, it came down to the word clarity, I think.
I think that's that really sums it up for me. And what a selling feature, right? For the majority, realistically, we who really do appreciate all those effects from THC, we're definitely not the majority of people out there who are interested in cannabis. There's a lot of people who are interested in, this facet or that. And when you say I had all the best parts minus that psychoactivity or minus that high, that really piques their interest or really opens their eyes. And I find that, like, just in a few sentences, I'm getting a lot of people being like, wow, I really can't wait till we start seeing some CBG rich products up in Canada,
I probably had perhaps a dozen of those CBG pre-rolls, the one you and I shared.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of slowly consumed them over the following 2 weeks or so,
Right.
maybe 3 weeks, through the holidays. And, so I had the luxury of kind of doing that in different scenarios, and in the morning and at night, and
Right.
when I was feeling stressed out or when I was already chill, or and yeah, I tend to agree with what some of the other people were saying in terms of clarity. In fact, I found myself almost strategically, I'd sit down to write an article, or get some writing, some keyboard time in, when I really need to be able to focus and not be distracted, and you want everything kind of dialed in just right. And they were perfect for that. I got in the habit of, you would have thought I was a Pall Mall smoker. I was like, okay, I got my CBG joint and I got my keyboard and I'm going to do my thing, So definitely was not disruptive of productivity.
Right.
Or, we're a society that developed nations appreciate productivity, right? Johnson, where's that report? It's just like the Jetsons, right? Yeah, we do need to get stuff done. I really kind of value my productivity, because my ability to make money is directly tied to it. I
Right.
didn't inherit a trust fund, so to pay my kids' tuition, I got to go out and earn. So quite honestly, if THC or CBG or any of these molecules I'm putting in my body on the daily put even a dent in my productivity, I'd change it up. I just wouldn't do it.
Right. Right. Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, so I totally understand the people who are like, we don't want THC at 11 a.m. because we're trying to get some shit done here. Yeah, I totally get that. I guess some of us are weird, and THC at 11 a.m. helps us do our job.
I know a guy like that. He's right above you, right up. No, yeah. Don't get me wrong. I love my THC as well, and and in varying amounts throughout the day is something that I do enjoy consuming. But I'll be one of the first to put up my hand and say I am super excited about where we're going from here. In getting into and just digging into some of those other cannabinoids a little bit deeper, and just to see things like CBG starting to trend a little bit more in the States. We know those trends are going to come up here. A lot of people out there are talking about CBN. We've had people talking about THCV for a little while, and really looking for cultivars rich in those. So this is something that really excites me. I mean, the potential of this plant is one thing that really excites me, but our ability to really get in there and dig into some of those other cannabinoids that we haven't had the opportunity yet. This is a big deal.
Yeah, and I hear your excitement with THCV and CBN and some other molecules like that. I would say my it's kind of ridiculous to say my favorite molecule, right? Especially with the entourage effect, they all work together. But THCV and CBG and CBGA, its acidic precursor, are definitely kind of, let's just say, the three of the cannabinoids that are occupying a lot of my thoughts. And I'm imagining products like the pre-roll we shared in Vegas, where you're thinking CBD and you're thinking CBG, but because it's a full spectrum hemp product, there's a lot more than that in there, right? And we might not be research scientists in this area, but we know enough to know that those other molecules, flavonoids and cannabinoids and terpenes, that no matter how low their quantity, they sometimes have some very dramatic effects. That sometimes one of the molecules enhances the efficacy or the potency of another molecule. Sometimes it's more of like a gatekeeper, and it can keep that molecule out entirely, right? And this obviously gets kind of complicated on the biochemistry side. It gets into agonists and antagonists and reuptake inhibitors, and there's a whole vocabulary and framework of thinking that one needs to understand. to fully get how terpenes, cannabinoids, and flavonoids and such derived from hemp and cannabis interact with the human endocannabinoid system. Because like I was amazed when I knew like 10% of what I know now, many years ago, I blew my mind, right? I was like, this is amazing. It's miraculous, and it just turned me into almost like a zealot. And then the more I learned, the more I knew that we didn't know, right? And that, we're cocky humans. We're like, oh, we figured it all out. And not really. We didn't even know the human endocannabinoid system, which now seems tied to everything: libido, mood, cognition, sleep, appetite. It just affects all these different things, energy level, metabolism. We didn't even formally discover it until the early 90s.
Yeah, I know, that's freaky to think about.
I mean,
right?
Jesus
like,
Christ, I had a mortgage, we were quite into, modern society.
Well said.
So THCV, CBG, CBN. People like to get into fights on social media about CBN. They like to. I don't know if you've seen this.
I think I know where you're going with this. We've often talked about how CBN's a degradation of THC, but there was a little bit of time there where I had people calling me up and sending me emails and asking if I knew anyone or anywhere where they could get genetics for plants that are rich in CBN or predestined to be big CBN producers. Is this kind of the thread that you're?
Yeah, exactly. Technically you can and can't. Degraded. Okay, here's the reason I don't like the phrase degraded THC.
Okay, go on.
Even though a biochemist might not complain with that, because the word degraded implies that it's of less value. Whereas we can, in certain use case scenarios with certain patient populations, CBN has great value. People like Ethan Russo and other doctors are very excited about it. I've written some articles about like cannabis for insomnia and sleep disorders. I did one recently for Vegas Cannabis Magazine. And there's like almost 100 different sleep disorders out there. It's one of the most pervasive issues facing human beings in the modern age. Okay. So CBN is one of the best molecules for that. Now there's many others, right? There's myrcene and humulene, and these molecules, be they terpenes or cannabinoids, that we find contribute to the quote unquote indica effect, the couch lock of indica. But we got a lot of leading doctors and scientists and thought leaders who are like, look, the whole indica sativa thing is fallacious and riddled with problems. And, we're kind of a black and white world: Coke and Pepsi, Republican and Democrat, straight and gay, we like it that way. Right. So I understand the convenience, especially for the marketplace and the distribution channels, of the indica sativa model. But anyway, so that's CBN, right? It's called the biosynthetic pathway. It's the metabolic pathway of these molecules, and then they break down and they become other things, and they get reabsorbed, and it goes on forever, right? It's kind of like Carl Sagan, used to say, we're all stardust. It's like, we're just recycled stuff.
Right. So which direction would you lean then? Would you say that you can choose those plants that are genetically predestined to produce higher amounts of CBN? Or do we just...
You would be choosing a plant that was predestined to produce a hell of a lot of THC, right? And then that THC degrades. I've read about one report where it's amazing that projects like this get funding, or that someone can actually pull this all together. But they did this report over, it was either 6 or 8 years, a real long-term study. And they took cannabis flowers and they measured the amount of THC, and then they looked at the degradation rate over that entire 6 or 8 year period. And they were finding about a 17% degradation breakdown rate. So after 1 calendar year, about 17% of the THC would convert to CBN. And at the end of the whole 6 years, it maxed out to, if I recall correctly, about 44%. Now that's significant, but it does beg the question, when does cannabis ever freaking sit around for years?
Not my house.
It doesn't, No. Even with a distribution channel, what are you guys experiencing in Canada? 3 months, 6 months? I mean,
we got some older stuff on the shelves, that's for sure. But
I've seen product getting close to a year.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I saw some stuff here in Vegas. It was about 10 months. It surprised me.
Okay.
Wow.
I saw some stuff in Amy's living room that was about 3 years.
I was waiting for that.
Amy
I
likes
like my weed old, okay?
Well, perhaps you like CBN. That's that's nothing wrong with that.
Thank you. Did you hear that? Basil and Hart? Nothing wrong with it.
Hashtag CBN. Just don't make fun of me.
You just like it dusty.
That's right.
Dusty.
That's right. Yeah, I did talk to a vape salesman who really liked to push purposely drying out your cannabis so that you don't tax your vape as much. So, maybe that's a good selling point for CBN.
I don't understand the chemistry or science behind that, but okay, A for effort. Well,
It's easier.
all the old school dudes in California told me that you didn't want to let your weed get too old, that fresh was good. They'd be like, these guys were like 20, 30 years my senior, and they were like master cultivators, hid out in the middle of the woods of Humboldt County, and, got all nervous that you knew how to get there and stuff.
Right.
I understand. I didn't want to go to jail. But they were like, fresh is good. And a lot of times they couldn't answer why. They're just like, I don't know, fresh is good. It's just,
right.
But sometimes they could, and if they could explain it, if they could articulate it, they would say, well, you don't want all your terpenes to evaporate. Now, again, that's, a biochemist would shirk at me saying something like that. They don't all evaporate, right?
Right.
But there are evaporation rates and conversion rates, and we just talked about that with CBN. So there is, from my experience, if you guys cultivate on your own, or if cultivators, but you've had like just very freshly cultivated cannabis that did not go through any distribution channel, it is kind of a different experience, I think.
Yeah,
I would absolutely agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I used. Yeah, no. I was just gonna say, I used to love to, like, when I grew. I haven't grown for many years, but when I was growing cannabis, my favorite thing to do was to like just take some a little early, and I really enjoyed the experience of that early bud, that fresh bud, much more than stuff that even had a longer cure on it. Just because the experience for me was that more uplifting. It really, I was sort of like not super amber trikes at harvest, but like really sort of more milky. I love that. Like that's what I was always after. Sort of that super like up soaring, instead of that, as we talk about, maybe more that indica leaning, more that sort of Mercini indica-y kind of a feel. So.
Yeah, something that I experimented with on one of my last harvests was when I packed it in its cure jars, I gave it all a good solid 4 or 5 days before I even touched it, giving it its regular burps and whatnot. But then every day when I would burp it, I would pull a bud just to try it out. And then the next day I'd burp it and pull a bud. And each day I was definitely finding significantly different effects as I went along. In those early days, it was a lot like what you're describing. I found that it lacked the overall effect somewhat lacked depth, or like it didn't last as long. The peak came on quite a bit quicker. It was much higher. It was
like up, and then
interesting.
But it dropped off a lot faster. And then, as the days would go along, it would, the cure, the more it would cure, the more it would like fortify that, everything in that bud, and give you, and fortify the effects as you went along as well.
Yeah, I love that. Such an amazing plant, huh? Just like the nuances. It's
freaking incredible. Complicated, man. You think it's like more than 150 cannabinoids, 200 terpenes, 20 flavonoids. God knows what else is creeping around in there. And then they all kind of intermingle. And what I think makes it really either exciting or frustrating, especially for wellness practitioners and doctors, is subjective efficacy. So, what puts a smile on your face gives someone else a panic attack and puts someone else in the sofa and asleep. I remember I was dabbing in Toronto, probably like 2007. We didn't even call it dabbing back then, right? It was just like anyway. And there was a guy beside me, he was probably like 280 pounds. He was a big guy. And the rest of us were just kind of charged up from the dabs and energized and talking and getting philosophical. And this guy fell asleep, and he almost fell over on me. He probably would have like hurt me. Yeah, you know, so subjective efficacy. One person has a panic attack, and another person just, you know, goes looking for the Doritos.
Yeah. So true. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I remember when you talked with, it wasn't called dabbing. It was, you're talking like the
Hot plating.
the nails and the little bells, and yeah, I remember the swing. Is that what you're talking? Like there was like a skillet pad and a swing.
Yeah, the hot pad, and sometimes they would use these like coals. They'd heat up those coals, and then it was kind of a messy because you'd have the ash from the coal, and you know, if you dropped it on the carpet, you're going to burn the place down. It was like super hot. But yeah, I think it was 2006 in San Francisco was the first time I did it with this dude who owned a dispensary. And who owned a dispensary in 2006? Well, a few guys in San Francisco did, and this guy was one of them. And he's like, oh yeah, this is the way they do it in India and Bangladesh and stuff, you know? And I'm like, all right, man, whatever. And I just remember getting so high, I was like, Jesus Christ, I'm gonna lose my camera. I'm gonna lose my camera. My wife's gonna kill me.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Awesome. You know, there's something else I wanted to ask you about. A little while back, Kurt, you were posting pictures of one of your fancy new toys, the Go Fire.
Yes.
I'd love to hear about that. I'd love to hear about the experience with it.
Go Fire was a client of mine. Unfortunately, they have been impacted by the coronavirus, and this goes back several months because they had production in China, and China got hit first, and so they were one of the very first people to feel the backlash. You know, this pandemic has also changed things financially, so some companies are impacted in that respect. But Go Fire technically exists, but they are not currently selling that vaporizer that you saw in the images, and they're taking their basic IP and tech and looking at different market opportunities with it. And that's all I feel, you know, really in a position to disclose. I can tell you that, yeah, that's sitting in my office over here, that vaporizer. It was an expensive device. It had a $500 retail price point US. But they were doing everything right at Go Fire, quite honestly. They involved University of Colorado, another higher education institution. They were doing full alpha and beta testing. They were integrating all that data back into product development and partnership models. And really, these were some extremely intelligent and innovative people who, you know, we say right place, right time, and sometimes there's wrong place, wrong time. And in some respects, they were almost ahead of themselves, you know, because they were really kind of seeing past, you know, the Rastafarian flags and the Cheech and Chong movies into, it was almost like they sat down and said, let's pretend like this is all mainstream and there's no stigma and there's no confusion, and people take this as serious medicine and lifestyle enhancement. And from hence came their product, right? Mm-hmm. So it's one of the, I mean, I've been doing IT stuff since like right out of high school and obsessed with technology since I was a kid. It's an amazing technical device. So the fact that the founders are, you know, just waiting for better market conditions, and they're going to take all their IP and everything they've learned, and they're going to jump in with consumer friendly and, you know, legal distribution channel friendly products and services. I'm excited, you know, just everything's kind of on hold with this ridiculous pandemic thing.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Do you think that with cannabis being deemed an essential service in most markets, I think it was in California, I'm going to assume it was in Nevada.
In most places, it is being deemed essential. It's kind of blowing my mind. I anticipated the opposite.
Yeah. Do you think that we'll see like to me, this is a really good thing for stigma busting, is like people see that like, oh, wow, cannabis is an essential service. So I never thought of it that way. Do you think this is sort of the push that we need to get to the federal spot in the US for legalization? Do you think this is going to help things eventually, even with,
In
you know, the
theory, it
economy needing a
helps.
boost too?
In theory, it helps. And, nothing to motivate one like desperation, right? So when those government coffers are bare, especially if they're unusually bare, then, our leaders and politicians will naturally seek remedies. One remedy is encouraging cannabis and hemp and the taxation thereof, because, if you got a $10 billion industry, government's going to cha-ching on a bit of that, right? It's in their best interest. And well, government doesn't have to bail out people who are financially successful, both at the personal and company level, right? And we're sensitive to that both in the US and Canada. So there's really a whole lot of benefits to government crafting and enforcing regulatory oversight that is not overly onerous, that makes it profitable and enticing to run a company. Because if it becomes too much red tape and too big a pain in the ass, everybody will just go on the dole.
Yeah. Interesting. Hey, I wanted to share that I have a cannabis beverage. This
now I'm jelly.
Our first offering in Canada.
I'm all jelly.
Kurt.
Damn it.
Just hit the market, but don't get too jelly because it's only 2 milligrams of THC.
What?
Okay,
Right,
now
yeah.
I got a cookie over here. It's probably 50.
Wait,
Right.
So I got to eat the cookie before I drink your beverage. Okay, I get it.
Wait. So I mean, I tried this. I tried this beverage last night. Hart,
Yeah?
you
did.
tried it before as well, right?
Yeah, I had a couple the other day.
So I just did a little educational presentation for the other members on my sales team, and it was all about bioavailability. And so we were talking about a little bit about the differences of bioavailability when we have our cannabinoids suspended in an oil or in another type of fat, and the bioavailability of this water emulsification technology. And I mean, the things that I was looking into were saying that, that it is theoretically possible to have 100% bioavailability from water emulsification. And so this was my first experience really with that kind of technology. And I split one can with my wife, we wanted to taste it, see what the flavor was like. I had purposely not smoked for a little while, and I'm going to tell you, I got a little tiny bit of an effect off it. And it was a heck of a lot more than I expected from, I see you shaking your head. It was a heck of a lot more than I expected from 1 milligram. And now we all know that there's, that mindset that you go into that experience with is going to have a bit of an effect on it as well. But what I'm saying is, don't shoot down water emulsification technology until you try it. And Hart, I don't know about you, man. This is something that just might never work for you anyway.
You know me, I was all about the water emulsification. I think if I had a little bit more kick behind it, it may be more successful. Whenever I hear somebody say, I kind of thought I maybe felt something. You didn't feel anything. That was just.
You're like a John Wayne of weed. You're like, screw that. We don't mess around here.
I enjoy the taste. So for me, it's just a really expensive La Croix.
Is it like an expensive Coke or something? Yeah, I mean,
it was $4.20 for the can.
Can you translate that?
Well, it's like $1.50 US.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's okay. No problem. No, I'm kidding. It's not that bad.
No, it's. I mean, it's not that bad if it's doing the job for you. The one thing that I find really frustrating though. So Kurt, I don't know if you can see this, but so there's a child proof thing on it. So that,
and then the standard pull tab beneath it, it looks like.
Yeah, and then there's a tax stamp on every can. So imagine going to buy a 6-pack of beer and having every can with a tax stamp on it, and a little child thing. This is crazy.
Americans are too lazy for that. That's why we don't let that shit go on here.
Yeah,
it's too much work.
And by the way, you can't buy 6. You can only buy 5 because the the equivalency factor for dried is 5.61 grams, and the largest amount you're allowed to carry in Canada is 30 grams. So you can't even buy 6 of them. Like, we got to change some regulations.
Ouch. But you guys got so ridiculous on your edibles content, for example. Here in the States, now we got 11 different adult use markets after all, and none of them are like the others, and there's no federal oversight to, you know, give commonality and standards. But anyway, we kind of unofficially standardized on 100 milligrams, and yeah, you guys got, you know,
10.
Surprised. You got the proverbial rug pulled from under. I think you folks anticipated the same 100 standard. It's almost global. And am I correct? You went with 10% of that, 10 milligrams?
That's right, 10 milligrams in a package.
Holy right. And then you can split up that package however you want. But
that's right.
Yeah, most jurisdictions here in the States are saying 100 milligrams in the package, max of 10 milligrams per serving. And then you say, okay, that means I got 10 servings, and that's real easy to split up a candy bar or whatever, right?
Yeah. And when we were down in Nevada, we were even seeing the containers of gummies. It was 10 milligram gummies, 10 in a container. It's perfect.
Yep, and I'll let you buy 200 containers if you want. You just got to come back in a few times. Yeah.
Right.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Nobody does that.
Yeah, I find it a little bit restrictive. I mean, we're all adults, and we could probably be trusted to handle buying a chocolate bar with 10 servings of 10 milligrams each. But I guess, I don't know, it's that whole Maureen O'Dowd thing, right?
Yeah, poor Maureen. Yeah, with thinking she was dying for 8 hours in a hotel in Denver. Yeah. But she was a pioneer in some respects. I mean, I know people kick her in the teeth, but I'll kind of support her in a way. She was investigating a culture and emerging industry, and she's not a member of that culture and industry, right? She's more the horse and wine crowd, and that's all beautiful and fine. So in a way, she was ballsy for kind of going outside of her zone and experimenting. Just it's unfortunate that the weakness in the system and the chain that I think it illustrates is the fact that the folks she bought that candy bar from, the bud tender, technician, whatever you want to call it, just should have explained that. It's just the most ridiculous thing. So I think really it showed a shortcoming in our industry, and it's still a shortcoming today.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely unfortunate. It's just I think we could bump it a little bit more than 10. I mean, that's the thing, you want to buy a significant amount of chocolates, and there's also, the environmental impact. So much packaging. If I wanted to buy, even
exactly
a bunch of chocolates for the weekend, I have to buy like a bunch of boxes that have like 2 chocolates.
Right.
5 milligrams each. Like, it's
in
crazy.
theory, you guys are using 10 times the packaging than they're using in California or here in Nevada, right? 10 times. So, okay, Canada, you talk about how earth friendly you are and your beautiful rivers, and I want to go fishing up there in Ontario. Okay, well, you guys are using 10 times the packaging. So yeah, what's going on here?
Yeah, and I mean, like 10 times the packaging, and it's not even good packaging. Like when we were in the States, we saw examples of, some biodegradable packaging, some stuff that was, maybe all cardboard at the very least, or something that was even more biodegradable. And up here we've got a plastic outer shell with a plastic clamshell inside, and there's a seal.
Got to make sure those 8-year-olds don't dig into mom and dad's stash. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Start putting it in the toaster, and it's gonna get rough.
Yeah, I saw an ad the other day for edibles, like one of those like Mothers Against Drunk Driving or something, and it was all about keeping your edibles separate, and they were showing like the gummy bear that was like the evil gummy bear, and like it just goes to like you can't even have character shapes or anything in the legal market right now. So it was kind of like a bunk ad, you know what I mean? Like you can't have any fun anyway, so don't show it as like a gummy bear, because there are no gummy bears. Like,
I love Canada, and from my experience, since the day I got into this crazy culture, cum industry, whatever, the risk takers, the cowboys of cannabis were always in Canada and California. you guys lead it, okay? You will grow when you're not allowed to grow. You will figure out how to smoke at the party when they're putting people in jail. You guys figure it out. So I'm shocked, quite honestly, that such a vibrant cannabis culture has resulted. I know your politicians are as shitty as ours here in the States, but just who is in charge here with this 10 milligram thing? It makes no sense. And I think it's a stop game right at the point of the 10 times as much packaging. Okay, 1,000% the packaging. Holy shit! Now the spreadsheets are blowing up. This is. But in all fairness, you guys are just like all the jurisdictions in the States. This is an experiment, and you guys are going to see what works and what doesn't work, and you're going to fix some of what doesn't work.
Right, and yeah, we're going to go out there and make a lot of mistakes, but luckily the rest of the world is going to benefit from those mistakes and be able to implement more efficiently when they do.
There you go.
Right? Canada's
mistakes, California's mistakes, the whole world is benefiting. So yeah, that's an upside. I'm going to look at it that way.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, it's we gotta fix that. That's the packaging's a big deal here, and it's something that that everyone is talking about. And I mean, we're starting to see some, we're starting to see some pre-roll packaging coming out that's just cardboard, and I think that's a big step in the right direction. Did you just finish that can?
I did, and I'm so high. Woo!
I can't believe you just drank a soda water that fast, though, man. That's a lot of carbonation in there.
I'm thirsty. I'm gonna burp.
I only spent about a year in Humboldt County, but it was a very surreal experience. And I'll never forget talking to this kid. He was about 20, 21, and he used THC and cannabis to manage anxiety and such. And I remember I saw him once, and it was a friend of a friend. I'd see him a couple times a week, and I said, "How you doing, man?" He goes, "Oh, doing well, man. Waiting for it to kick in." And I said, "Kick in?" And he goes, "Candy bar, bro." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, groovy." He goes, "Yeah, it's these cats, 1,500, man." And I said, 1,500? And he's 1,500 milligrams in this freaking candy bar. These kids are crazy.
Right.
Just crazy.
that is wild. What's the biggest you've ever had?
Well, I would say the majority of the edibles that I've had were underground, from Toronto,
right. Yeah, absolutely,
or California. And so, you were kind of getting this, well, do you smoke on a normal basis? Yeah, I do. Okay, you can have 2, but don't have 4. 3, maybe. 1, you probably won't feel enough.
3 will make you tired.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I almost have to get dialed into the milligrams. I think once I had a drink that probably had 35 or 40 milligrams, but I was at a party. Cool. I was at a sesh, an underground sesh in LA. And so I didn't want to overdo it and, not be able to find my car or something like that. Right. So, yeah, probably 35, 45.
Okay, cool. I mean, myself personally, something that was marked, was 100 milligrams, but I mean, again, that stuff was, who knows, right? It was coming black market. So, I mean, It's not like they're sending it to an accredited lab to have it tested. But yeah, I love the old days of making your own or showing up to a party and having a tray there and everybody just kind of dig it in. I think we likely ate some pretty big doses back in those days.
Yeah. And, there's both pros and cons to that, right? That was kind of like the Cracker Jacks thing. Like, what's the prize going to be? Is it going to get you high? Is it not going to? I go to these music festivals in Ohio, they give you these really bad, like, brownie thing. I don't know. They'd be $5. And sometimes they'd get you high and other times they just give you a sugar rush. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, the crapshoot was kind of fun, but if you're going to pay real money, it is nice to know, oh, look, honey, 40 milligrams, and it's probably thereabouts, right?
Right. That's a cool little world we're living in.
I know. Remember the time that guy passed me that 800 milligram Rice Krispie square?
So I don't know, Kurt, if you've ever met anyone who consuming cannabis, ingesting cannabis does not affect them at all, but that is Hart. Like
I was just talking to Mara Gordon about this, California researcher. Actually, there are some people who do not experience any efficacy from THC. They're extremely rare.
And do you have any insight?
Into it. She and
do
I
you
are
have any
looking
insight?
into it.
Okay.
She's talking to the hardcore scientist.
Right.
She's my translator. I'm going to write it up. So yeah,
Awesome.
it'll all come out in the next few months. But anyway, they were theorizing they have really weird endocannabinoid systems. But
Okay.
you're saying Hart, like, did you do 800 milligrams, something like insane?
I've eaten like hundreds and hundreds of milligrams. I've had pills that are like 400 or 500 milligrams at a time. I get no effect from ingesting cannabis at all.
Really? Wow.
Now I can smoke it and get effect, which is great.
Are you just like the average bear? If you smoke a J with somebody, you get equally, affected?
I think it takes a little more to get me. I mean, I've
Okay.
got a high tolerance, but I've never been able to experience getting high off an edible. And I always theorized that it had something to do with my liver because I'm allergic to alcohol. I have what's it called? I can't think of the name. It's like a flush. I'm missing an enzyme, and I can't process.
So you can't do a certain
alcohol.
metabolization?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I get all hot and flushed when I drink any alcohol. So I always thought maybe it had something to do with that in terms of how
Could easily, yeah.
like how the cannabis is it turns into that 11-hydroxy THC, which is supposed to be super, what's much more potent. And I thought maybe my liver's just getting rid of that. And that's why I was so excited to try the emulsion, the water, the nano emulsion stuff, because it's like that's not hitting your liver, that's going right into your bloodstream.
Right. More like a sublingual model.
Yeah, and so far, I mean, 2 milligrams, I don't think would do anything for me anyway. But
right.
But yeah, so that it's just this weird thing that I can just down THC and have no issues.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, I mean, who knows? We don't want to make assumptions. That's not scientific. But, if your liver processes, the way it operates is a little different than the average person, then it makes sense that, these molecules from hemp and cannabis get in there. They may also be subject to that difference.
Yeah. It's just, it's kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun at parties.
You're like the party trick. Like, well, look at he's going to eat 800. Watch us. I bet you $20 he can't do it. Everybody's making money.
Let's check on him in an hour.
You and I are going to start going around to parties where we know nobody at, and start hustling.
You're like pole hustlers, yeah.
There's no parties anymore. Like,
good point. So we're going to set up these webinars, and we're going to hustle people over PayPal.
Zoomhustle.com. Yeah, there you go.
And that chocolate, what was it? The
Chowie Wow.
Yeah. That I thought got you a little bit high. I have a recording of this. Yeah.
I know, and I just think we smoked some really good weed before that. That's my theory, because I've yet to replicate that. I went right after that and bought the exact same ones, like 4 each, and I was like, okay, like this is awesome. I'm gonna eat these, and I was not able to replicate the high. So
you might just
that was really bad chocolate too.
You might just have an extremely efficient gastrointestinal tract that is getting rid of everything on the way down.
I don't know, man. Have you seen my build? I've got a body like a bowler, my friend. So
bowler.
That's my athletic build.
Big Lebowski, man. Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
But you're not the crazy guy or the other guy. You're the cool guy. You're the cool Jesus.
Oh, man,
you're the dude.
My internet.
You're always the dude. Kurt, you watch TV?
I don't my TV for the past 14 years or so has, we cut the cable. My ex-wife and I were some of the first to kind of cut the cable, and because it just made sense on the spreadsheet. And we also wanted to rid our household with young children at the time of the commercials. So we went with HBO, Netflix, and Hulu. And as soon as
Nice.
Hulu started offering the, the plus or whatever, the commercial-free version, I was like, geez, take my money, please. Because commercials just make me insane. They're designed to distract you, and I don't like distraction, so.
Well, one of Hart's favorite questions on here is what are you watching these days?
Especially now, it's so much more relevant.
You're right. You're right. Hashtag pandemic, hashtag COVID-19. We were burning through Deadwood. It's my second time. I did it years ago.
Yes.
But my partner, it's her first time through, and she became addicted like 2 episodes in, and it's just like, let's keep watching it.
It's the second episode that's the clincher in that one.
Yeah, you might be right.
First one's hard to watch.
Yeah, the boot to the neck. And then they fool you, right? Swidgen. Yeah, and I can't say the rest of that phrase, but PG rated. So let's see. We just finished last night, literally, this Tiger King thing.
Okay.
Oh my God! If that won't embarrass you to be an American, I don't know what does. Honey Boo Boo did it the first time, right? We were all like, Jesus Christ, we're so embarrassed to be American, and now this. So I don't know where this is going, but yeah, it's at least it's entertaining. It's extremely entertaining.
Right. Hart, what are you into?
I was a big Breaking Bad fan. So the current season of Better Call Saul, which is sort of the prequel, if you will, to Breaking Bad, is on, and this season has been fantastic. So I haven't seen this week's episode yet, so that was kind of on tap for me this weekend. Current season of RuPaul's Drag Race is currently on, so I'm taking on that too. It's like one of my favorite shows, and anything else I can find in between. I've been watching lots of YouTube food videos lately. There's a guy, I don't know if you know who he is. His name is Mikey Chen. And he has a bunch of channels on YouTube. One's called Strictly Dumpling. One, I think it's just his name, like Mikey Chen. And he basically, before all the shit went down, he would travel all over the world and just like eat food. And this guy has like 9 stomachs. Like he literally just goes to buffets, tells you like the best buffet.
Well, he's a genius because he's getting paid to eat.
Yeah.
It's like, you're a rock star, dude.
He seriously has a huge following, and he's just really, so I've been like kind of just zenning out on watching like buffet videos. It's pretty cool though. And anything else I can find, I love TV. One of my favorite things.
Either of you guys ever get into Neil Gaiman?
No, you turned me on to Neil Gaiman, though, my friend. So
I know who he is, but I have not. Read any of his books or checked out any of his. I know he's quite prolific, and a lot of people really respect him.
Right. My wife and I, a few years back, read American Gods, and then when this series came out, we started getting into it. And this is our second time through the first 2 seasons that are available on Prime, and it's pretty interesting. It's got what's his name from Deadwood?
Swedgen. Yeah.
He's he
Ian
plays
McShane.
Ian McShane, the one and only.
Yeah, he's Odin. So like.
Right.
And bring me that goddamn bottle.
Do you remember the episode where he had a kidney stone?
Yes, very much.
Oh, God. That was some acting. Holy shit.
They were talking to him through the door.
Yeah.
Like, blink your eyes for yes. And it's like, we can't see him, you moron.
Oh, man, yeah.
That
was a great impression.
Yeah, that was good. That was really good.
Well, I grew up in Ohio. You don't want to know how accurate it gets. Yeah. I had to go to California just to get rid of that accent. So.
Yeah, no, it's worth checking out. It's worth checking out. I'll be sticking around if there's more. That's for sure.
For those of you with HBO, I'd also recommend The Righteous Gemstones. They had to cease production mid second season because of the virus, unfortunately. But as soon as things are good, they're going to jump right back into it. It's it's about this family of wealthy religious evangelists, and it goes from there. It's really great.
Oh,
Cool.
What's it called, Kurt? The Wealthy
Righteous Gemstones. It's got John Goodman, a few other folks. Eastbound and Down fans will like it. You'll like it then.
I wanted to throw a couple more questions at Kurt
Nice.
before we got off, if Kurt is cool with that.
Yes, absolutely.
So I want to get back to cannabinoids, and I know we talked a little bit about what we're seeing trending now, what we're seeing in the near future kind of thing. I'd love to hear, because it always seems like you're ahead of us on what's coming. Do you see anything in the future past what we talked about? Do you see any other trending cannabinoids being talked about?
I think that creative, innovative companies, when we were just talking about bioavailability, right? And nano encapsulation, and, it gets complicated, right? So if you're a technically astute company and you look at the fact that, okay, consumption avenues, we have, like, a lot of consumers don't understand sublingual, and that it goes directly into the bloodstream. And so we avoid the metabolization of the stomach and the liver and, other processes like that, or the lungs, which, filter less, if you will. It's more of kind of directly to the brain, those molecules that are allowed to cross the blood-brain barrier. But when you look at, okay, we got topical, like at the surface for the epidermis, but below that, we've got transdermal, and transdermal patches. I think that's an exciting area, quite honestly, because we can deliver a lot of molecules. Most consumers, think of tobacco cessation, right, when they think of patches, but transdermal applications can do a lot more than that. So I think that's an exciting area, and I kind of keep my eye on some of the companies in that space. And yeah, I've got my token molecules like THCV. And a lot of times this is just because I like the way they make me feel, On the terpene side, I like pinene, and I like the sativa-like effects. So I want pinene and limonene and THCV. Gosh, I had a South African strain way back. This is from Canada. It's from Vancouver. It was a strain cultivar called Voodoo. And I bought like an eighth of it and mailed it back to myself in Ohio. And I was on this like very technical job project at the time, a lot of spreadsheet work, very detail oriented. And I would do a volcano bag of that in the morning before driving to the job, to the client location. And it was just amazing. It's like you don't eat for a day and a half because it kills your appetite, but you feel good and you don't feel too spun up like you get sometimes after your third cup of coffee. It was just an extremely unique experience to have a cultivar like that was so rich in THCV.
Nice, like Durban poison.
Yeah, it was like a Durban poison jacked up with more THCV. It was crazy. But yeah, Durban poison, Jack hair, some of those other quote unquote sativa strains are definitely what I seek out, because again, I want to do it in the morning and have it enhance and increase my productivity throughout the day.
Yeah. That's Jack for me too. That's definitely a go-to for me. Back to your transdermal, there's a group here, Harvest One, that they have a technology that I believe is called Delivra, that is supposed to increase bioavailability through the dermis, and that's one that I've been keeping an eye on. I think that that product will do a lot for people, just for the ability to treat something, locally, going right to the spot where you want to get that treatment, but to also increase the bioavailability to the point where you can get, spread those effects out across the body and get those cannabinoids and other molecules right into the bloodstream that way. I think that's I agree with you. I'm very excited about that as well.
And I can see people like, say, amateur or even professional athletes, and especially endurance athletes, where they're really rough on their bodies, right? Seeking both solutions, really trying to do the localized treatment with a topical, then either smoke or eat or go sublingual in order to get a more systemic effect for, their overall recovery. And, it's interesting. because right now there's a lot of both professional and amateur athletes who are saying, yeah, this stuff, these molecules from hemp and cannabis make a big difference in my life. And, you know, these people who go out and, you know, ride their bike 200 miles or run 50 miles, these hyper athletes are really reporting some excellent results from use of cannabinoids and terpenes.
Yeah, well, this Olympics would have been the first. Well, it will be when it resurfaces next year. But the first year that CBD is not a banned substance, like they're actually allowing athletes to use CBD.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we'll see if what effect that has.
Right. I think there's another one that not a lot of people are talking about. Another consumption method, intranasal. You know, like you know, we look at other
like
mucous
sinus
membrane
treatments.
Exactly. There you go.
With the nasal sprays kind of type of thing.
Right. And when we talk about bioavailability, I think that's one that's kind of overlooked a lot in cannabis as something that would be, you know, high bioavailability to be able to get that right into the bloodstream. I know that even what's it called? Going the other way.
Ketamine?
No, through the anus.
Oh,
suppositories.
Even that has a much more of a following, even though it's a small following in the cannabis world, that has more of a following than putting anything up your nose, you know, aside from the old French inhale.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
you know, go ahead, Hart.
No, I was just going to say, I thought I saw the nasal inhaler. This is something that they gave me for my ears, but it seems like a really good way to get your medicine, right? Like I think I've seen like some other drugs that way, like ketamine and things like that, like taking a nasal spray, and they're starting to use that more in clinical settings.
I think of a nasal inhaler as having the same convenience, you know, portability, goes in your pocket. You can do it in line at the TSA, you know, at work, as say a tincture, you know, for sublingual or through the stomach consumption. So yeah, I think it's got a lot of pros.
Yeah, you remember Dristan?
Yeah.
They still
Kids who grew up in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah. And Afrin too is another one.
Well, you know, I wish I could cite the study right now, but we've identified CB2 receptors within the olfactory, within the nasal cavity. So, which gives you direct absorption. And it's like, oh, we didn't know that. So it kind of changes up the game a little. Like, for example, now we don't get psychotropic effects from CB2 receptors. We get it from the CB1 receptors in the brain and central nervous system. But I have heard people tell me, like I've written in articles, that it takes roughly more likely 2.5 minutes when you smoke or vaporize for it to go to your lungs, hands it over to the heart pumps it directly to the brain, goes through the blood-brain barrier, hits the CB1 receptor, ta-da, psychoactivity, right? I've had people swear to me, and these are just anecdotal, you know, reports, that they or a loved one experienced psychoactivity in 30 seconds or 40 seconds, but well under 1 minute. And they said it definitely was not 2.5 minutes. Could, you know, receptors in other parts of our body that we've only recently discovered and maybe not discovered yet be part of a mechanism like that? Because there's validity to that 2.5 minutes, but that's only because that's one path. And if we assume that it's the only path, then maybe that's a poor assumption, right?
Right. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I got another one for you. So what's your preferred consumption method? I know that the majority of pictures I see on your feeds are generally that nice little pipe that you carry around.
Yeah.
What would you say is your
the pipe.
Good old fashioned spoon pipe?
Yeah, absolutely.
What would you say, two-part question, your favorite consumption method, if it's not the pipe, and also, what are you seeing for any kind of new consumption methods, any kind of new tech? I know that right now is not a great time with what's going on in the world, but yeah, what are you seeing?
I love smoking flowers in glass, and I joked on social media. I said I got together with my attorney and my social media consultant, and they told me I had to say that I do not condone smoking during a virus pandemic where
Right.
it hits the lungs, and that's true. So should people cut down on smoking? Should they replace smoking, if you like inhalation, with vaping? Because for years I had a Volcano desktop vaporizer that I loved, and went long periods of time using it almost exclusively.
Right.
So I was doing the majority of my consumption via vaporization, which is, all the doctors and research tells us, it is healthier. If you're into this thing called harm reduction, vaping and investing in an expensive, high quality desktop vaporizer is an excellent, excellent way to go. Quite honestly, it depends on who I'm hanging with. Right now, most of the people kind of who I'm hanging with here in Lake Las Vegas love bongs, love joints, love flower and a nice borosilicate pipe. We tend to not eat a lot. But like, I know one person here, a serious patient, and it kind of sounds like similar to Hart. They say that they've eaten it dozens of times and have never felt efficacy from it. And they've done the heavy doses, they did the research, they did it the right way, and they got no relief from their pain whatsoever. So people, serious patients, obviously will gravitate toward, the consumption avenues that give them efficacy. More so where a completely recreational consumer, if that's even the right way of saying it, it's more of a personal preference, right? But it's not really necessarily the biochemistry of it all. So I think you've got a certain segment of the population, people, true medical users, who, they basically relegate themselves to the method that gives them the most bioavailability. Or, if you got Crohn's disease, what gets rid of your nausea and helps you get an appetite and helps you get a good night's sleep? If you got arthritis, what kills the pain? If you got a bad back, again, it's a pain issue, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And seen anything new, seen anything exciting coming out that route? I know we already touched on a little bit with the transdermal and things like that.
I find some of the high tech kind of, lithium polymer battery powered stuff is either kind of just like shite, or it's really, really sexy. And if it's really sexy, it's typically pretty expensive, too. But I don't actually have one. I've used it several times. I keep playing with the idea of getting one, the Puffco Pro, or the Puffco, what I forget they've got several products now, but it's their desktop semi-mobile. You could put it in a small purse. You can't pocket it, right? So when we define mobile, is it, pocketability? No, it's not. The Puffco product is not pocketable, but it's extremely sexy. It's got color changing LEDs, but it doesn't look all tacky. It's just, they did it right. But it's also like a $300+ maybe $350.
The Peak, I think it's called.
Yeah, I think
right.
there you go. Thank you very much. Puffco Peak.
Yeah. Those things are pretty cool.
They are pretty cool. They're beautiful.
Now, I gotta say, for mobile vaping, I do enjoy name dropping my Every dip devices here in the States. They make the Dipper, which basically I use for home dabbing, and they make this Every product, which is like a Swiss Army knife. And if I were better, situated here for video, I would have it, on the ready to show you. But I encourage your viewers to go check out Dip Devices, and the Dipper and the Every. Have both. And we basically stopped using a glass dab rig to use the Dip Devices Dipper. It works that well. It also comes in at a price point under $150. So, the bang for the buck I found to be stunning. The build quality is exceptional. this researcher I referred to earlier, Mara Gordon in California, she turned me on to dip devices, and she's extremely picky. I love Mara because she's cynical, right? Cynical like a vampire. And she's like, I'm not believing your BS, you know, you better be good, or nah, don't say you're an S500 Mercedes and you give me, you know, crap performance. She told me that the Every and the Dipper were some of the best products she had ever used. So
I got to get into those.
yeah.
I'm not familiar at all. Is it kind of like a straw,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just lithium powered, and you know, instead of plugging it in or anything like that. There's another brand, and I've used it before. I like it a lot, called the Honey Badger. And it's more kind of a testosterone infused version of the Dipper. You know, it's bulky and big, and the battery is much bigger. And you know, if you want to go on a full weekend camp out and you know be dabbing it up with your buddies, that's probably the best way to go, quite honestly. But it's also about twice the price point. It's nice because Nectar Collector, the glass folks, make some really blingy attachments for the Honey Badger. I think it's all very sexy, and it can get very expensive too. But personally, yeah, the Dipper from Dip Devices and the Every just cover all my dabbing needs, make me totally happy.
Nice. I dig that.
Sweet.
I think it comes down to having good concentrate, right? If you got good concentrate, then you know, the device becomes almost secondary. You just want it to work when you say do your job, right? You know, when you turn on the car, it better freaking start and take you to point B. And that's what I really love about these things. I will name drop here in Nevada, Fuse Extracts, F-U-Z-E, and they're on social. We had one of their THCA isolates, and it was like, I don't know, 97, 98% is what the COA said. It was just like pure THC. And wow, you know, if you're a pain patient and you need immediate relief, you really need kind of a punch in the face. Or if you're just, you know, a recreational user and you want the same thing, I'm not going to judge. Boy, that Fuse Extracts, that stuff is just amazing. And it's priced very reasonably.
Yeah, and that's something we don't really have here yet, is are the extracts in the legal market anyway. I mean, there's a few that kind of, it is sad because it's another thing that you know, people really are, I think are wanting and almost demanding, and it's been very slow. The company's been very slow to release any kind of extracts that are worthy of anything, really.
Potentially a huge market segment, and serious patients, you know, pain patients, again, folks with Crohn's, stage 4 cancer, MS, you know, chronic progressive MS. These are people who need, you know, quick relief, and unfortunately they can't wait the 2 or plus hours, you know, for eating. Right? Because they certainly could get a whole lot of THC and other cannabinoids and terpenes into their system by eating them. So that's why, you know, that makes me a little sad for the Canadian market, because some of my friends here in Nevada, like, again, you know, Crohn's, serious pain patients, they do something like a Fuse Extracts, you know, 97, 98%, crazy.
Wow.
You know, put that on the end of the Dipper, and suddenly, you know, they're not in excruciating pain and they got a smile on their face. I think that's kind of a magical thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, we do have some carts that are out, but nothing like, you know,
like the 510 carts.
Yeah, but there's really been very, very little in terms of hash or hash rosin. Or
old school.
Just happened I see in Ontario.
That here too, though. We have a dearth of like the old school stuff, like keef and hash, hand rolled, you know, like old school Afghani hash, Nepalese hash. You know, we can make that here too. We don't need to import that from Nepal. But it seems like even here in the most progressive jurisdictions in the States, we're also not doing much of that.
Yeah, that's too bad.
I'll go toward 510 carts, and I love 510 carts. They're convenient, they're easy. Here's your $35. Let me get on my way. I love them, but that's just part of it, right? It's not all about flour and 510 carts, and it ends there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 510 carts are another consumption method that have pretty much no efficacy with me as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I can get.
But flowers I can smoke and gets me high and
Interesting.
does what it needs to be for medical purposes.
You have quite the aberrant biochemistry.
It's weird. Yeah, I can suck on those things all day.
Phrasing.
Well, at least we know we got a designated driver.
Yeah, man.
Is that a good enough distraction? Did I do okay there? From your dirty talk, dirty Canadians. I hope you guys are able to, knock up that edibles limit in Canada, because I go to bed crying about it.
Me too, man. Me too. And I mean, to Hart's point about the concentrates thing, I really think that's something that is a bit of a miss so far in our industry. There's like you had mentioned, Kurt, it's a market that's just kind of ripe for the taking. And I mean, like, there are a few coming out with some hash products. I saw
Cool.
with Whistler is dropping what looks to be like a temple ball, Frenchy cannoli style. At least that's what the pictures.
The master Frenchy cannoli. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. This company Hexo just released some hash in Ontario, and it's a really nice dry sift, kind of old school dark hash, nice and malleable, that kind of stuff.
Really?
So there is some nice stuff coming, but those concentrate markets where we're talking about things like the shatter, all of the other stuff that we're missing.
Shatter, wax, crumble, all those varieties. They make up new stuff in LA every day. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of trending, it's one day it's butter, and one day it's this, and one day it's that, and yeah, I love it.
I know. I would go to this underground sessions in LA, and I'd be like, "You got some sativa shatter?" And they'd be like, "Oh, dude, shatter's so yesterday, man." I'd be like, "All right, teach me, kids."
Yeah, you're instantly obsolete. Yeah.
Well, you just can't keep up with these kids, They're all over the place. The LA hustle.
Yeah, totally. All right, guys. Well, I think this might be a good place to start to clip it. What do you guys think?
Yeah, we've been yakking forever. I love it though.
Well, thanks again, guys. This is great. I've been watching your stuff forever, and finally I just got jelly and was like, "Hey, let's talk." Right,
man. The pleasure is ours. It's always really nice chatting with you, man. And this is fantastic. I really think it'd be awesome if we could do something like this, every once in a while.